Hello, everyone. Welcome to Weekly Manga Recap. It is the 17th of December, 2025. I'm Nick, and I'm back with Quinn.
Yeah, welcome back, Nick. We are very,
Thank you.
we all missed you. We missed your voice, and we wanted
I missed
you...
my voice, too, for most
Yeah.
of the last week, so...
Yeah, how's your voice feeling now?
It feels fine. I may occasionally turn away to cough. You might catch me doing that every now and again, but trust me, it's nothing now compared to what it was. I full on basically had laryngitis for most of last week after I had the idea of like, you know what, want to try and do some like extra stuff, like put out like, you know, like an extra thing for the show. Spoke for an hour straight by myself, strained my voice, and was like, well, I guess I'm not doing that again because it is actively taken away from what we do because I did it. So
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is I ran into that problem when I was recording monthly other recap for a while, and eventually
sure.
I had to move to just recording it like separately and like stopping and just slightly editing the bits together or whatever after like
Give yourself breaks.
yeah, just something, because you're like, that's unbearable for someone's voice to talk that long already on top of what we already do. So
yeah, I could feel it in like the last 15 or so minutes. I could feel it happening, and I was like, I just gotta push through and finish. And it's like, and my body was like, no, that's what I'm telling you not to do.
no, like your voice is like, no, don't do that. You don't have to do this.
So it's it really only like I really only notice it like when I lie down now, because you know like your neck, your throat stuff is unfortunately connected to your stomach, and so like my vocal cords are still a little sensitive. So when I lie flat on my back, then or even on my side, then like it starts to kind of like mix in there. And then my throat's like, oh no, there is like acid on me. Stop that. And makes me cough a lot. So I've learned that I can't eat several hours before I go to bed because it makes, well, because like, you know, your stomach becomes more active when
Yeah.
you're digesting food. And so I would literally like be doing fine all day for the last several days, and then be getting ready to go to bed, and I would just start going, and I was like, what has happened? And then I like did research and stuff, and I was like, oh, my body is acting the way it naturally does, and my neck doesn't like that right now, and I need to take care of it better. So,
Yeah, well, hopefully, swift recovery. Some people, as you listen, you'll notice that I'm going to be doing a little bit more of the recap this week, just so we can break it up and don't have Nick talk too extended for any point in time. We want that recovery to move forward. But I did want to open this episode up by just mentioning something real quick. For those of you who are listening, know that I've been, well, I shouldn't say all of you, but I've been at school. And a huge thank you to everybody who's listened, who's been extremely patient. I know some of you are listening to like recordings afterwards, and some of you will be listening to this on the podcast recording a good bit after maybe it has come out, as I catch up on some things. But I have sort of needed that time to sort of focus on school. And I wanted to say that I previously went to school back in like 2017, fresh out of leaving the state. Went to school, and I can recall my last day of my first semester leaving school, and like mentally, like, to be clear, I didn't do very poorly in that semester, but I did fine. Just, you know, whatever. The sort of middling average I kind of settled myself for. And I remember sending out a tweet, this Twitter back then, that just basically said, just finished my first semester and I made the dean's list, ... of cool people to hang out with. Real banger tweet to deflect from my own insecurities. I eventually had like an uncle message me like, congratulations on making the dean's list. And I had to like embarrassingly mention like, oh, I didn't. That was a joke. That was a joke about how I know I didn't. Which is all sort of a prelude to saying that I finished my most recent semester. And thank you, everybody, again, for your patience. I was able to get straight A's in all my courses and actually make the dean's list for first time in my life. So,
That's awesome.
yes, thank you. Just a thank you to everybody in the audience for helping out with that. And yeah, a slight, I guess, pat on my back for sticking to it and working hard. And
Absolutely.
the goal is to try to repeat it next year or
Yeah,
semester.
we are super proud of you. I mean, like when you have a bad experience with school and then go away from it, going back is really, really difficult. I can say that from personal experience. So the fact that you managed to do that and you managed to succeed where before you didn't feel like you did, that's great.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
congratulations.
Much appreciated. I'm also happy just about the straight A's part of it. I can't remember the last time I had straight A's. It may have been when I was a child. And I mentioned that to one of my fellow students, who, granted, I'm a good decade older than at this point. And I mentioned that to her. I was like, oh, I think this is going to be like the first time I'm going to have straight A's. And she's like, oh, wow, that's kind of sad. And I was like, okay, what the fuck? And Nick, I don't know, perhaps this is too tangential. I don't understand how the kids today talk. And I know that's
Right.
just the thing. But this girl sends me gifts that I can't understand. Like, I told her, I was like, yeah, I'll help you out with that assignment. And she sent me a gif of just someone slapping their lips. Like someone like slapping someone else's lips. And I'm like, I don't know how to parse this. Is this a threat? Are you angry with me? What is this?
I in the last couple years, because we're at the time now where we're like, the uh there is a second generation
Yes.
of prolifically online people making their own memes. Second generation younger than us, I should say. So for the most part, I could understand like Gen Z stuff, but Gen Alpha stuff is like it's an entire extra generation there where you got to like figure it out. And so now I'm starting to learn about stuff. So like, there's the whole 6-7 thing that has
Yeah.
become a big thing that like has kind of like now is kind of crossing into like people are aware of that.
Yeah,
But
it
that's
is
just
now
like
become a
one
meme.
example of like all the crap that they're coming up with now. And I'm finally starting to understand like where my dad was coming from when he very earnestly, when I was in high school, asked me, "Do kids text in class, or is that just a thing that they do on TV?" And I was like, "Yeah, they text in class. What are you talking about?" And now I understand. Like, yeah, you just like don't have any interaction with that generation outside of like if you have kids that age
Yeah.
basically, so of course you don't know what they're doing and how they do things and what they're up to. It's like an entire subculture develops that you're just not a part of.
Yeah.
So
Well, I will throw, if we have any Gen Alpha listeners out there who would like to help me out, just tell me what the lip smacking gif means. Like, is it angry? Should I be concerned? Do I need to apologize, or is it just a cool whatever thing? Because I don't know how they're doing things nowadays, Nick, and it's
mhm.
scaring me.
Now that we've talked about how we're old and out of touch, let's talk about the manga that is allegedly targeted towards people 20 years younger than us and get into this. Ichi the Witch, chapter 63 or 63rd Hunt. Threat. We get a full introduction to the Kizashi brothers, all of the tentacles that were born from Kizashi doing his super special secret technique to split himself up and divide his lives among several bodies. So we get Speedy, the fastest. He's confident and impulsive. Muscles, the strongest. He's obliging, but not too bright. Gloomy, the nastiest. He's miserable and jealous. Stretch, the longest. He's bashful, but can't hide. No matter how they try, they're too long.
That sounds kind of
Teen,
tragic.
Teeny, the cutest. Cheerful, friendly, likes cute things, namely themselves. Chonk, the heaviest. Slow and steady wins the race. And Pooh. Pooh.
All right, Nick, which one are
That's
you?
I'm none of them. None of these fit me except possibly Gloomy on a bad day. So
I've always felt like you kind of have a pew energy to you, but whatever.
I don't know if I've ever been a pew. So yeah, I know that there was kind of like some thought of like, oh, I wonder if they're gonna like keep a little secret of like, oh, that there are 10 lives hidden among there, and then it's like, no, that little tiny head, that is one of them. Here you go.
Yeah.
It just gives it away right here. But importantly, with Speedy being the eldest, he is in fact faster than Kizashi is normally. So he's like, I'm gonna go and just throw myself down that woman's throat and just blow up the baby inside of her,
In a
which
kind
is
of disturbing
horrifying.
visual. Yeah, I was like, oh, you could have just said that and that would have been evocative, but seeing like the image of it is so much more disturbing.
The sweat beads on the figure that it's illustrated with, yeah. So Kizashi can swim at 310 miles an hour, and Speedy can get to 373 miles an hour, which is truly insane. That is faster than the speed of sound. So he zings off towards Gokuraku's group, and Emilia is like, I gotta kill the woman. I gotta kill the wench who seduced Kizashi's best bud. I'll blow you up. Comes in and looks at, Melinda and
Jinkashirine.
Chikashirine and oh gosh, oh
Kumugi.
no, Kamugi. I'm out of practice, guys. Been gone for a week, and so Speedy looks at the three of them and is like, "Wait a minute, 3 women?
Which
Which
one?
one is?"
They all look the same.
Just all of these brothers must be so dumb because Kizashi already was not very smart.
Speedy already failing the name a woman test. Couldn't do it.
That's what Kizashi really is when you get down to it. It's just an incel.
He has kind of that energy.
Gokuraku comes up on Speedy from behind, and we just get a little bit of like, yeah, he just kind of looped around while Speedy was standing there like an idiot. And Speedy has a chance to go, and then Gokuraku just beats the shit out of him, just kicks him straight in the back, binds him up in a net, and turns him into a punching bag. Just goes fucking ham on him, full Kenshiro. And Speedy's like, wait a second, as his lives are winding down. And the number on his chest goes 65432. And there is just a brief moment where Speedy goes, stop. And Gokuraku says, no, you human haters are all the same. You lie, you deceive, you get violent, you look down on humans, treat us like garbage. Screw that. The one who came out of it hurt was my friend, you bastard. To me, it's your kind who are garbage. I don't care if people yell at me for going overboard. You hurt my friends. Open up his hand and a cannon comes out like Mega Man. And as he charges them, he says, I'll beat you and thrash you and pummel you until you're dead. Agni cannon, and destroys that thing. Blows it the fuck away. Well, so that's 10 lives down. Good job, Gokuraku.
Well, hey, did we see it ever go to 1 first?
No, I guess not.
Yeah, so maybe there's still 1 life left on it. Maybe Gokuraku is great at punching but bad at counting.
Maybe he missed.
Yeah. Maybe he missed. I enjoy that this chapter is, we're not done yet, but this chapter is basically like a let's show off all of Gokuraku's new gadgets, and it instantly made me remember when Frankie got like introduced and he had that fight on Water 7 where he just revealed he's like, hey, I can turn my like arms into chains, like, and I have a centaur mode. Yeah, like I can do all these, like, I don't know, it's just like the fun of seeing a robot reveal their abilities to me just captures something so intrinsic to who I am.
Muscles and Teeny pop out of the water, and they think that Speedy has blown up the woman. They're like, "Yeah, good job!" And then the smoke clears, and they realize it's just Gokuraku. And they're like, "Oh, why?" Jigashirane has some compliments for Gokuraku, the brutalizer. And meanwhile, Gokuraku is fucking eating Speedy's corpse.
Did I forget this character trait of him, that he would eat the corpses of his enemies?
I didn't remember this really either.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's like turns to the women and he's like, "Hey, you guys want a bite?" And they're like, What the fuck? He ate our brother. What the
fuck?" Oh my gosh. Great chapter. So entertaining. I love Gokuraku just having this giant spotlight chapter to be like, hey, here are these enemies. We're going to show him off. And he's just going to curb stomp one of them. He's just going to shit stomp them because he's really mad. And we're going to show off why he's mad. And we're going to show off all of his cool techniques while we do it. And that was really satisfying. Like, I think Gokuraku is a character I really like and I want to see more of. So I'm glad that this is a series where he's going to get to do things and not, like, get slid into the background after his first introduction.
Yeah, absolutely. Considering that Gokuraku is amongst our group at best really like the fourth most important character. Well, no, I mean, like, if you don't count Chrono and Minerva even, like, even beyond that. So to have him continue to contribute, that is great. And to have it be done in such a memorable, ridiculous, over-the-top fashion, especially great.
Yes, very, very satisfying, very, very good chapter. We're going to move on, Nick, though, to Blue Box number 223, the first page of an adventure. So we start in a flashback of Kyo and Taiki when they were a little bit younger. Kyo. Where they think best friends stay by your side. When there's a steep hill to overcome, a sudden headwind pushing you back, or when the pedals start to feel heavy, best friends make those moments feel like the first page of an adventure.
Oh, that's where the title comes from. Okay.
And we go back into the match. Taiki and Kyo are both at it. We can see that Kyo has just scored a point and gone to 19 points. We don't immediately see what Taiki's score is. We just know that they are getting close to the end of the round. So we see some more of their back and forth. Taiki hits a shot that just kind of bounces just off the net and then plunks straight down. Kyo can't return it. And as a result, we see that the score is revealed. That was the winning point for Taiki, 21-19. He has taken the first game of the set, or the match, I guess. Yes. How does that work in badminton? Is it the same as tennis?
I believe it's the first to 21, but you have to win by 2.
Yeah, but is it like volleyball, where it's like you have to win 2 sets out of 3 to win the game?
That's how it's been portrayed in Blue Box.
I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if it still used the same terminology though.
Rounds, sets, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So Taiki manages to win the first one, and people commenting like, "Oh well, I guess he's back in the groove and stuff like that." He's won most of his matches against Kyo, so this is really just a tough match for him. And in this interim, Kyo notices that Taiki is kind of staring off into his equipment, and Taiki says like, "Oh yeah, I was just remembering the summer of our second year in junior high," and it takes Kyo a moment to remember, and he's like, "Wait, you mean with Coach Dato?" And we are thrown back into another flashback of a summer where their previous coach for badminton had to undergo surgery, so they ended up getting a substitute coach who was Coach Toda Dato. And
what a name!
Kind of makes sense.
Can you imagine if I came in and I'm like, "Hey, I'm Nick Kin." Like that would be like
it'd be a memorable name though. Can't ever forget Nick Kin. Nick
Kin. Like if you're that person's parents, you can't be giving them a backwards name like that. That's so weird.
Unless their parents are like very cartoonish and they all have like big like top hats with question marks on them and they like just doing silly games with their kids, then it'd be kind of cool. God. Wouldn't you want a parent like that, Nick?
Sometimes I feel like I did. So
Wow.
my
So,
my dad had a very dad humor sense of humor.
oh,
So
well, that's wonderful then. That's like a blessing to have. I assume. I don't know. My dad didn't really tell a lot of jokes. He did just lie to deceive us and then laugh afterwards. So I guess that's humor. I guess that's kind of a joke. I unpack things in therapy. It's fine. So he's basically introducing himself, and then people are saying like, "Oh, like he's used to be a very professional or a very high level player. He played nationals when he was here, all that sort of stuff." And he's like, "Hey, I'd like you all to do this workout routine I'm doing, or I've prepared." And it is very quickly evident that it is a very demanding workout he has prepared. Everyone is kind of exhausted. Everybody is really tired. And amidst all of it,
I'm not familiar with any of you, so therefore I'm going to decide that your fitness routine needs to be much harsher because I don't know how fit any of you are, but I've just decided this.
yeah, by just eyeing you up, I've decided you could do this super hard routine. I've decided it and deal with it now, basically. I stopped throwing
This is
up
the
and
army,
do more
right?
pushes. Yeah. So even though he was very demanding and all this, every time he'd kind of demand for like one more, like do it again, Taiki would respond very eagerly, like, yes, sir, no matter how exhausted he was, which earned him a spot on Coach Toda's good side, basically. So he ended up kind of giving Taiki his eye and being very, like, direct with practice, and ended up being pretty demanding. And all Taiki can do the entire time is just say, like, yes, sir, I'll do it. Okay. He's just a foolhardy boy all the way through. And Taiki is noting, like, yeah, back then it was the same. I had let fatigue overtake my body, and I was in a slump, and they're preparing to start up the second game now. And, in the past, Taiki goes to Kyo for help, and Kyo takes a look at Taiki's like arm that he's bandaged up and is like, dude, you just gotta say no. You're gonna ruin your body if you keep this pace up. And Taiki's like, no, this is fine. I just hate it when people think I'm incapable, like I'm gonna lose. And Kyo's like, your way of living sure brings you a lot of pain. And Taiki's just like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. So he's like, oh, coach said tomorrow he's running an outdoor practice tournament and I should go. And Kyo just starts like ripping it up immediately. Like, I'm not letting you do this. You're taking off tomorrow. And Taiki, sweet innocent boy, is like, you want to go to the community gym? And he's like, you just want to play badminton. You're still trying to basically work out. And he's like, well, what else should we do? Like video games and stuff?
Anything.
And that's when Hina says, I have a great idea. And she comments about how there's this cake shop she likes to go to when she wants to reward herself. And it kind of cures all of her exhaustion. And she feels like she just sprouted wings. And she's like, the three of us should go together. And Kyo's like, you've set the bar for this crazy high, It's probably not a great idea.
You have talked about this like it's a realm of purity and goodness.
Yeah.
Does Hina deliberately buy jackets that are too big for her?
I think so.
Look at her sleeves, like the way that they're like.
Yeah, that might be the case. I think that's maybe just part of the style. Maybe that's something else the youth are doing, Nick. The kids, as they say.
Wearing clothes that don't fit. I never heard of no youth that did that.
Never. Now pull up those pants, Nick. So we see that they're now biking off to go get this cake, and Hina's just talking very excitedly and recommending like what to get and everything like that. And she's like, oh, I also recommend running by the river for stress release. And Taiki's like, Hina, do you ever get stressed? And she's like, of course I do. And we see her watching this stressful practice that Taiki's underdoing. And she says, I get stressed out when my friend is being treated like poop. And Kyo, was like, here. I get stressed when my best friend doesn't value himself. And Taiki thinks, through all this, a strong wind, but I can still pedal without a problem. Like I'm pedaling through air as we see one of the like a 1.5 page spread of Kyo, Hina, and Taiki riding bikes in their carefree junior high years.
Yeah. And we, I think, had seen a little glimpse of Hina actually biking with them on the first page of the chapter. Because, like, you can see a backpack and a set of handlebars behind Kyo on that page. And then we see that, Hina's with them and her backpack and bike actually look like the bike and not first page. So, I like that we have Hina included in this moment because it's like, yeah, she is a part of that friendship there. And of course, there's that weirdness that she has once again brought in because of her ill-timed, I still got feelings for you, sorry moment a few chapters ago. And it's nice to kind of have that sense of reunion almost, even though like there hasn't been a breakup between them. Just kind of like settling things in this time when Taiki and Kyo were at odds with each other. That like it doesn't affect their long-term relationship.
Yeah. I like that as well. It's nice to keep her involved in this and to get a little flashback. The connection those three characters have going into high school is like a major part of who they are, and it's nice to actually see some more of those moments kind of shown to us of like, oh yeah, this is why they're all such really good friends, because they shared moments like this together. It makes a lot of sense. So much appreciated. Good chapter.
Yeah. All right. Let's go over to Chainsaw Man. It's chapter 223, Ultimate Armor. So we get an explanation that the Chainsaw Man form that Denji has taken is red, and Yoru objects to this by saying, "The red one isn't my Chainsaw Man. I'm not interested in you, Denji. Turn back." And instead, Denji goes "Rah!" and fires out a whole bunch of chains from his forearms. They lance out, go past Yoru, and start digging into buildings and stuff all around them. And Yoru starts trash talking him and says, "You're an unworthy opponent, Denji. Return your body to Chainsaw Man or suffer the consequences." And then the chains come springing back in, and there's heads on them. And Denji says, "I heard you made a bunch of great friends, Yoru. I made me some swanky armor." And the heads are on him in the least dignified way. One of them is on his crotch,
and they're all like, "Oh, it hurts! Ooh,
it hurts." One of them's crying out for Yoru, like, "Oh!" And Yoru's like, "You're using my friends as shields, and yeah, including the Morai Eel Devil, which goes boom." And Denji's like, "Ha! Can you attack me now?" And Yoru's like, "Ah, damn you, you brute!" And Denji chops her in half. She immediately reforms because she can't die. And she's like, "Fine, then all I have to do is blast off your head." And of course, we know Yoru has got perfect, impeccable, unerring aim. Oh, she shot the Morai Eel instead. Oops. I like how every time that Yoru makes like she's gonna do some sort of crack shot, it fails without any indication it's going to succeed.
She is weirdly the biggest threat in this universe, yet still constantly a fail girl. It will never stop it persisting for this character.
Like, this isn't as good as the whole there, and she's like completely facing the wrong direction. But the fact she's like, "I'll shoot off your head," doesn't get close to Denji's head. Yeah. So she shoots the Morai Eel Devil instead. And so they both stop fighting for a second, and Yoru starts to get pissed off. And she's like, "I was having fun up to this point. I played by the rules. I fought you fair and square from head on." You turned a state into a fucking punch, dude. And she's like, "You crossed the line, so now playtime's over." And Denji says, "Well, I get it. I've watched pals get hurt and die too, so I know how you feel all too well. As you become increasingly alone, your heart aches, doesn't it?" And Yoru reacts in surprise, and then her mouth falls open as, Denji's eating the Morai Eel Devil. Oh! This poor thing, it just goes, bonk!
It's
And then he's like, "Oh, tasty!" You fucking dick, Denji.
She's such a chaotic monster.
We've
It's truly
we've had
astounding.
we are 3 chapters into this week, and we've had two monster eating heroes.
Both eating seafood too, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, I think Denzi is the less heroic of the two of them by far. But I do love the hilarity of giving this, like, noble speech about, like, you know, like, I've seen what it's like to lose friends, and, like, you start to become alone. And just her face, and she's like, are you eating my friend? You're eating one of them. He'll never exist again.
She's not even going to remember you ate it. Yeah. So she shoots at Denji. He dodges and then gets up on a building nearby and says, "Give back Asa's body or I'll eat your buddies one by one." And of course, Yoru responds by preparing another attack. And we zoom out and out past the atmosphere, past the satellites to the moon. And of course, we zoom in on there's an American flag in the moon. So therefore, the moon belongs to America, which belongs to Yoru.
I love that this fucking stupid an aquarium costs $1 million. That means I can buy this aquarium.
No, it doesn't.
Then it's mine. Like, this nonsense can also mean she's like, well, the Americans landed on the moon first and put a flag down. That means it belongs to them and thus belongs to me because I own America.
And yeah, there's a crack that's emanating out from where the American flag was planted. Geez.
So ridiculous. I sat there saying, like, how can, like, they really escalate too much from, like, the state of Michigan vanished or whatever? Like, how do we go bigger from there? The moon's bigger. The moon's a much bigger thing.
Objectively.
The moon is, like, 17 Minnesotas, I'd imagine, or Michigans.
Oh man,
Remember,
this is going to cause some problems. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, we're gonna. I'm not looking forward to being in that world when all the waves start exploding. Whatever happens when the moon is destroyed for a sword or a bow gun.
It's gonna affect the poles. It's gonna affect so much shit, dude.
All right, so let's talk about Dandadan. This is chapter 220. Let's treat those wounds. So, Okarun managed to bring Momo back to her place, drops her off, and it's like, hey, can you stand? And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. So he's like, all right, well then. And Momo's like, wait, no, come here. Like, why are you trying to act so casual about this? You clearly are hurt, so let's try to get you treated. Cut to Momo going, ow, owie, ow. And Okaru's like, you're not the one who's hurt. She's like, yeah, but
he's very stoically just like, I'm fine, just bandage me up.
Yeah, but she's like, it hurts just looking at it. Like, this is crazy. You should go to a hospital. And he's like, no, I'm fine. Like, I'll go tomorrow. When Vimola shows up and is like, oh, hey, welcome. Are you going to join us for dinner before you go? And Okaru's like, no, I'll pass. But Momo's like, why not? You can eat and then go. Vimola's a good cook. So Okaru kind of, nervously adjusts his glasses and accepts.
Such a good tsundere way of doing that. Like, it's like, come on, Vimola's a good cook. That's the reason that you're staying, not because I want you here. Yeah.
So we cut to the meal that the three of them are sharing. And, Okaru grabs one of the dishes, takes a sip, and it's like, yeah, it's very tasty. You are a very good chef. And he notices that Momo's staring at him. And then she kind of, like, looks away and closes her eyes. And then they just keep meeting each other's gazes over and over again. And Momo's like, hey.
Every time he looks up, like, she's looking at him.
Yeah.
And then Momo's like, why are you staring at me? When it looks as though every time Okarun looks up, she's the one staring at him.
Yeah. So he's like, hey, why are you doing that? They just start having an argument. He's like, you're the one who's always saying, look me in the eye. And she's like, well, don't do that while I'm eating. They're having this back and forth. And Momo's like, wow, you two really get along, don't you? So, Momo has to tsundere it up, be like, as if, goes into her dish or whatever. And she starts asking some questions, after dinner about what happened. And Okarun explains the Serponians and everything like that. And we also get a little line about, like, oh, how many kinds of aliens? And Okarun says, according to Paul Hellyeller, a former Canadian ministry defense minister, there are apparently 82 species. And that's just the ones that are confirmed. So, very good knowledge that Okarun has for all these details. And Momo asks like a question about whether they wear underpants, but then asks the more pertinent question of, hey, why did they attack us? And he's like, it's because of our powers. And she's like, oh, like the club? And he's like, no, like curses. And I don't have any of those powers right now, so you should really stick to someone who does have them as much as possible. Gigi and Miss Shiratori are especially tough. You can depend on them. Momo has a moment, though, where she looks over and she's like, I mean, I guess, but it seems like you and that Shiratori girl have some hanky-panky going on. I wasn't gonna get in the way. And Okarun just looks at her and is like, why would you say something like that? And she's like, oh, sorry. And he turns and meets her eyes. Like, he just starts staring right at her. And she, like, nervously turns away. And he's like, aha, you turned away. That means I won. And she's like, what are you talking about? He's like, you looked away. That means you lose. And she's like, what person made that rule? He's like, you did. Now you have to do what I say. Why would I do that? He's like, because you made the rules. And he's like, I don't remember it. He's like, you said it, so you totally did. And Vamola comes in to chime in like, yep, totally said it. And she's like, no, this is some nonsense. Okarun just goes straight up and is like, hey, please go on a date with me. And Momo is like, what? He's like, well, you lost, so... And she just makes a joke. She's like, you're the one looking away from me right now. So they start kind of going back and forth, bickering on this. Vamola's just following him behind, like, ooh, what's a date? All this sort of stuff. And she's like, all right, fine, let's do it over. And the loser has to do what the winner says. And Okarun's like, well, I've already done it once, so if I win, that means two things. And they just start staring at each other as Vamola looks, on from the distance, right behind them. And they keep going, and she just kind of notes as they get closer, it looks like you're going to kiss. And Momo gets nervous and looks away. So Okarun celebrates the end of the chapter by saying, she looked away, I won. And Vamola is there to be like, Okarun is the winner, like a ref. And that's just the way the chapter ends, Nick.
This was so fucking cute.
It's a very adorable chapter.
Vamola was so funny in this chapter, like simultaneously being naive and yet the most aware of what's going on out of all of them. I love the callbacks in this to the ways that they usually fight, and I love that Vamola chips in at exactly the right times, multiple times. Like when they have their first quote-unquote staring contest, and Okarun's like, I won! And Vamola just says, congratulations! What happened? No idea what's happening.
Yeah, Vamola is excellent in this chapter, really, like, peppered throughout it quite well. And it is cute. It took me, I think, my second read-through to really, like, get this chapter and enjoy it, but I really did have fun with it. And, I don't know.
Apparently they're going to go on a date now. So
I will say I'm still not a fan of that part of things. I'm still firmly in the camp of like, I think this entire flashback or amnesia arc is stupid, and I wish they were not doing it. But we still get cute scenes, so I'm trying to temper my displeasure and just enjoy it.
Gotcha. All right. Well, let's do Hima-Ten then.
Yes, Hima-Ten. Or should we say Hima-71?
That's right.
That's the name of it. That's right, and cough. I could do it if you'd like, or...
Whatever.
Okay. Right. Yeah, well, Hima-Ten, number 71, post-content. So we open with the Iamori, and he's thinking about, like, this offer to go with, oh gosh, I'm blanking on all their names. Himori,
Honoka, Mayu, and Yokomizo.
Yokomizo. Is there a Yuza in there? Is that the one girl's first name?
Mayu that might be Mayu's other name,
Yeah,
possibly.
I don't know. Anyways, yes. Hanoka, her friend, and then Iamori's friend, as you mentioned. And Iamori's just like, I said I'd go.
No, not even close.
Oh,
Mayu's other name is Kanoe.
Kanoe. That makes more sense. I just remember Kanoe from Cypher Academy, who was also kind of like a chaos gremlin. They seem to occupy a similar space.
Mm.
So, he's thinking, like, there's nothing that's been sorted out between Kana and me. Is it really okay for me to do this? He's like, it's not like I did anything with Kana, but I don't know if I can leave things the way they are. Like, I want to go on this trip. I want to pursue this thing, but I don't know. And as if on cue, Iamori's little sister comes in and is like, oh, hey, I don't need dinner tonight. I'm going out with Kana. And he's like, wait, Kana?
Wait, what?
Just the two of you? And she's like, yeah, we're going. It's, my way of thanking her for the birthday present, also to celebrate her magazine cover. We haven't seen each other much since the school festival.
How funny would it be if the twist was that Iamori's little sister just stole Kana? It's like, well, if you're not gonna fucking date her, I like her.
She's like, I think you could do better.
She gets me awesome presents.
So we cut over to Kana, who's like, oh, hey, Makoto, there you are. It's been forever. And, we see them in their casual wear and everything. And she's like, oh, but it hasn't been so long since we saw each other, Iamori. And Iamori has tagged along without any warning. And Kana is taking the opportunity to kind of tease him about it. It's like, oh, did you want to see me that bad? And he's like, oh, I mean, it's about what happened earlier. And the girls take a bathroom break, basically. And Makoto basically just asks, like, hey, what's going on? Like, Iamori is acting really weird right now. She wouldn't call him Iamori, but Kana just basically explains what happens. And Makoto's like, wait, at Kana's place, her pinup, she said she likes him? A kiss on the cheek, like, she's just like, holy shit, you basically tried to kill my brother. What are you doing? And she's like, look, I was just so happy that he called me out. I thought this was my one and only chance, so I went for it. And, I just didn't know what to do, basically. And Makoto's like, well, that explains why he hasn't been getting any of his housework done. He's been so spacey and everything. But if he's here today, then, Kana's like, I think I know what that must mean. And Makoto's like, you have to go home right now. Just, like, run away, escape. Like, you can't take back what you already told him. But I know you two have chemistry. And, I bet he was so happy he could die. So, let's wait until he can figure out his feelings. And Kana's like, I can't do that. She's like, why not? It's all over otherwise. And she's like, well, if I run now, it makes telling him and coming out kind of pointless. So, especially because Iamori took this so seriously, like he came to talk. So I need to hear him out, don't I?
I like this idea that Mikoto understands her brother on the level of he doesn't half-ass things.
Mm-hmm.
So if we make him make a decision on this right now, he won't make the decision that I want, which is for you two to go out. So I need to get you away from him so that he continues to stew on this until his stupid teenage brain decides that you're too hot to let go. So...
It's very funny. I do like that thought process, and I like that she's also, in her own way, so knowledgeable about her brother. There's something kind of charming about it. She's like, "Look, he doesn't half-ass anything. You need to exploit that. Let him stew and think about you nonstop." So Kana runs up, meets up with Iamori again. He's like, "Hey, where's Makoto?" It's like, I sent her to a cafe. You wanted to talk, right? So can I go first? She's like, "Hey, I apologize for the kiss on the cheek. I realized I went too far." And Iamori's like, yeah, you did. Like, my head went blank. I didn't know what to say, but I would have told you off. She's like, was it that bad? And he's like, look, you should be proud of your pinups, which means, and Kana's like, motherfucker, this again? Like, is this what it's about? Like, you understand my job. You get that I make myself a commodity, but, like, what you don't get is that my crush is the only one I give special treatment to. So far, you're only seeing me from a fan's point of view, and like that's not what you should be doing right now. So, Iamori's like, all right, I need to change my viewpoint. It's really hard. She's really like cute when she's like this and everything like that. When we're face to face, like I have to realize that she's not just a picture in a magazine anymore. She is a physical person right in front of me. And that's, it's good. Iamori is developing the part of his brain that can see other people as individuals. And that's important for him.
There's kind of a meta level of this as well, which is, of course, that, like Kana's like modeling has, been her being like kind of deliberately objectifying herself and stuff. But I do like that we kind of get this insight that Iamori has managed to compartmentalize the feminine sexual aspect of her as like, just her job. And so that is kind of how he has separated it from the person that he has friendly interactions with. And Kana's basically trying to bridge that gap so that he can't do that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really interesting insight. I like that a lot. So, Yamori's like, look, honestly, I was really happy. Probably the happiest I've ever been in my life. I was like, you mean it? He's like, but there's someone I've liked for a really long time. Kana's just immediately like, it's Hanukkah, isn't it? Like I've figured that out since I transferred schools, basically. Anyway, just keep going. And he's like, look, I've been thinking about it since the other day, and if you need an answer right now, then I can't. And kind of speaks over him. He's like, I understand. Actually, I knew from the start. That's why I didn't ask you out. And he's like, I only told you that I like you, so technically you can't turn me down. So don't just assume, basically. And he's like, but you told me that. All that, and I can't act like nothing happened. She's like, yeah, I knew you'd react that way, but it's very frustrating to actually hear it from you. And he's like, wait, what am I supposed to do? And she's like, I just wish these things could be the same as before, a little bit longer. Like, this is my way of saying that I am in the competition, that I am trying to pursue you, basically. And Mori's like, you don't want things to change between us, but things don't work that way. And she's like, look, I know it'll be difficult, but I've been on the attack. But since I've been on the attack, you haven't been able to keep your cool. So she feels very confident in herself right now. And she says, that's the one good thing I got out of today. And she just kind of smiles to herself as Makoto watches on from the distance.
Yeah. We get definitely like a kind of dynamic here similar to how it was when Hina confessed to Taiki, where she was like, I like you, but you don't have to say anything right now. And she kind of like, just rode that so that she didn't have to kind of like deal with rejection, basically. But it's definitely framed differently here, and kind of definitely seems to have a different mentality about it, which is that she understands, like, I'm not the object of your affections, but I want you to know that I do like you, and I do, like, I'm not going to give up on that.
Yeah.
So, and that is, like, a huge step for her to take, because, like, he has very much treated her as kind of like just like his underclassman who also, like, does pin up stuff that, again, he has been compartmentalizing so that he doesn't have to, like, kind of deal with that. So, her bring yourself into this kind of thing is like, that's good. Like, and I feel like there is going to be some follow through in terms of like how she is trying to change the dynamic between them, which if that were not the case, then this entire thing between them would be pointless. So I like that there is a seeming promise of like there is going to be follow through on that.
Yes, I agree. And I think this is just a good chapter for Kana in general.
Yeah.
I liked her speech about like, hey, you need to stop seeing me from just a fan's point of view. Like, you need to understand that these are multi-factors of a person going on here. And I liked Kana voicing that verbally out into the world. And it's just a good thing to show that she presumably also sees those layers in herself.
Hey, the girl who took off her shirt in your room is a girl who likes you, dumbass.
He's like, no, she just wanted to show me her swimsuit.
Nah, she was just, showing me, like, like, I don't know, God, there's no way I can word that without being creepy, so I'm not going to try.
All right, Nick, it's Odor of the Flame, chapter 31.
Calerio, that's
Something,
right.
something.
Calerio is their name. Yes. Oter is squaring off with Calerio, the spirit horn, and he's got a special wooden sword thing from Jormungandr, like helping. So
Can we
he says,
can we note, by the way, he likens it to the leg of the stool that he had to sacrifice for heat. So I just need it to be noted, like, this is fucking Odor's like dead mom. Like, this is his fucking this is like his dead Ichigo mom or whatever. Like, he has to think about this every so often. Like, remember that stool I had that was so nice, and then I had to get rid of one of its legs.
he's gonna like start naming all his ultimate techniques after it's like stool that was uncomfortable to sit on, and they're like, everyone's like, what is he talking about?
Stool strike. They're like, why are all of his moves stool themed? They're like, sorry.
Is he talking about his shit? What's going on?
He saved his sister, so he's actually experienced no hardship except for having to throw out that stool.
It's like when you have the One Piece flashbacks where it's just kind of like, so, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, Shanks got his arm bitten off, but everyone lived in that one, I guess, so okay.
Yeah, why are you complaining so much, Luffy? Get it together.
Oh, well, my other brother died. It's like, no, he didn't, actually, though. He's alive, remember? All right. So we get an explanation that the branch is actually a blade of crystallized sap, which doesn't sound very hardy, but okay.
No, nothing's more sharp and deadly than sap, Nick.
So it's a medium for spirit's power, though, and if a warrior who is transformed into a demigod brandishes it, both man and blade can unleash an attack as one, which I thought we did that trick in this manga before already, but maybe I'm confusing that for, every other sword-wielding shonen battle series. So he manages to knock back Calerio, and then suddenly we get a flashback, and it's a flashback that Oter is experiencing, even though it's about Calerio, and we see a very shriveled, small Calerio who's like missing an arm, and he gets dragged towards something by this kind of gross-looking human who says, "We need your blood and nails." And Oter is obviously disturbed by this, but Calerio comes in, clashes blades with him, and Oter's like, what was that just now? And they clash again, and when it comes back, we see the man is preparing some sort of spell. He's reciting like, oh, baby tooth of a fairy, a first child's amnion, another failure. I'll need to increase the amount of kidney next time. And Oter thinks, could this be Calerio's memories? Every time we cross swords, his memories flow into us, says Philgia. Just like that ritual, he was kept alive just so his body parts could be used as materials for magic. Gasp! And then the next flashback we see, Calerio's got his limbs back. He's taken them from the guy who was harvesting them. It looks like the guy's limbs have been replaced by branches.
Yeah, he looks like he was secretly a scarecrow all along. Like when she pulled his arms off, you're like, oh, it's just full of straw.
And Calerio says, because the guy's like, how did you manage to do that? And Calerio says, I learned from watching you. Cursed words.
Dad!
Can't say that sentence. And so he demands, like, why were you researching this magic? And the man says, I wanted to revive my daughter. And Calerio goes, but no, what? Whatever. Tell me your name before you die. And the man says, Calerio. So, Calerio took this man's name, I guess. Anyway, Calerio chops that dude's head off and sets the entire place ablaze and heads off. And we see little flashes of him encountering other people, like begging for mercy for themselves, for their children, until eventually he comes across the Swordhorn, who says, You're the sorcerer I've heard about. What's your name? And Clario, of course, introduced himself just as Clario. And in the present, he continues fighting with Oter, and he says, I had nothing, so I had to steal to survive. And everyone had their reasons. I simply didn't see any of it as reasons not to kill them.
Oter's
Warrior
like,
Flame,
why
I'm going
didn't
to
you just
defeat
break
you."
off one of the extra legs of your stool, though, and throw it in the fire? It would have solved
Oh,
all
I
of your
never
problems.
thought of that. No, you have to understand that real power is gained through sacrifice, like my stool that I had to break.
Like, this guy's like, yeah, so I was like kept prisoner and like had my limbs ripped off and like basically
So
harvested
you were like
for my
a three-legged
organs.
stool then. I
like-
understand you now.
I was like, that's not a big deal. I once had to break off one of the legs of my stool and use it for warmth.
And so Clarios thinks to himself, regardless of whether or not Oder's a good guy or a bad guy, like, I'm going to defeat you. And so, he summons this big waterfall axe and he says, I don't need communication. That's how I fight. Which, like, does he know that Oter has seen into his flashback? Does he know that? Like, whatever. He seems to be commenting on it. But Oter realizes that no matter what I say to him, it won't bring him any solace, nor will it grant any salvation to those he's murdered. You can try saying something, though. You haven't tried saying anything.
You kind of just watched it and went along with it.
I've tried saying nothing, and nothing's worked. So he thinks all I can do is, and he slashes with his sword, shining blade, funeral pyre. It goes straight through Clario's axe and choppy chop and blows him away. And Clario's left lying on the ground. And Oder says, I'm glad I was able to fight you. And Clario, starts cursing as it looks as though he is lost. But then the wall of ice that had been summoned throughout the fight suddenly breaks and shatters, and a figure comes stepping through and says, well done, Clario. All our preparations are complete. And my God, it's the Prince of Ice, which means that we're definitely going to see all the other horns fight in this series and not just skip to the end. And he says, I hereby pay my respects to you, Oter, puny warrior of flame.
Yeah, so the ending definitely strikes the idea that we are entering the end game. I will say that I do think this has been one of the slightly better chapters of Oder and the Flame, if only because we spent the past 3 or so chapters commenting on how Clario wasn't particularly a great antagonist to go up against Oder. He just wasn't that interesting as a parallel, but this chapter made him more interesting as a parallel. So it would have been nice to, as you mentioned, kind of explore this relationship back and forth. We joke about it, but Oder does kind of lack a lot of backstory to pull from depth. It is kind of notable. The saddest thing in his backstory that we've seen is I don't know, his parents died at some point, and then the stool, basically. So it'd be nice to dig into things a little bit more. And it was nice in this chapter to get a little bit of that with Clario, but it's kind of a little too late.
Crayola.
Yeah, Crayola Crayon, whatever his name is.
Low calorie count.
Yeah. The pool needs more chlorine. It's just one of these things where you're I appreciate that we got this. I wish it didn't follow the classic shonen trope of the villain gets backstory as they die, one of those kind of situations. So I'm hoping that the last couple chapters of Oder of the Flame, or however long it goes, are up to this kind of level, because I did find this one of the more intriguing chapters in recent memory.
All right. Someone hurts.
Someone hurts, Nick. This is number 14. Expected person. So we follow up with the radio announcement from last episode where they're going over the last jokes about disposable cameras, and Mime hears his joke told. He's like, that's it. I did it. That's my fourth one. And they're like, okay, that's all of our jokes. Next week, the entrance for the listener Kyoshin will be decided. And Mime's like, oh, I only have a week left. I only have 4 points, doesn't know what he's going to do. He's like, I kind of talked a lot of crap. I really made a big deal about winning. How am I going to face Mizuho tomorrow? It's going to be hard to speak with her.
How am I going to talk to her?
She immediately opens it up by being like, "Hey, Meme, try ordering pizza 10 times fast." He's like, "You just want me to get you pizza, basically."
I
I
like how he's then like, oh, I guess I talked to her.
He's
Just like
like,
immediately breaks through that.
"Oh, it was actually very easy. All she does is bits, basically." Um, so he's like, "Oh, I heard the listener Kyoshin's entrance are set, basically. Congratulations." And she's like, "Oh, thanks." She makes a little joke about how she wants to be hoisted, but it would be weird to only do it with one person. And as they're leaving school, May points out, like, "Hey, Mizuho, look, isn't that person anywhere?" And they look over, and it's Miss Shrimp Shushi, the girl who also kind of has a weird fascination with Mizuho, but is at least closer in age, so it's not as uncomfortable.
Right.
So she comes up and she's like, "Oh, what's this? Why, if it isn't Eel Potato and her lackey?" They make a joke that I assume doesn't translate particularly well because he says, "I'm not a lackey and I'm certainly not a lyricist," which I guess is a joke.
Because Mizuho's like, he's not a lackey. Mime, give her some verses. And so he's like, I'm not a lackey and I'm also not a lyricist.
Okay. I guess I missed the joke in that one. So, she's like, "Oh, I just so happened to be passing by and I saw people, so I figured maybe you'd be here." And she's like, "You looked up our school uniform and you came to hang out." And she's like, "Hey, Ill Potato, I have something I want to say to you." And Mizuho, in response, says, "I have a song I want you to listen to." She's like, "Look, I want you to know that I'm not interested in anything but winning the listener Kyoshin. I am going to beat you," basically. And she goes basically like, "Did you come all this way just to tell Mizuho that?" And she's like, "No, I also came for..." Oh, she just can't say it because she's trying to find something she can't find. I'm not sure what she's trying to at
I
start.
think she's thinking about
her
taking out her phone to exchange line details.
line. That's right. I only read this chapter once earlier, so I'm like remembering the details as we go through. She runs off. They make a joke about the Lions Club, which was interesting to me. Do you know the Lions Club, Nick?
I'm not familiar.
All I know is they collect glasses. Somebody who I used to work with, like, had at the state had like a thing that was like, "For the Lions Club, donate your old glasses here. We find a way to reuse them." And like, I've legit had to look up. I was like, "How do I recycle old glasses?" Because I'm sure there's some way to get like a utilization out of this. And the only way I saw was you could take them to the Lions Club. They do that. So yeah, I don't know what they do. I don't know. I'm not endorsing them. I have no idea what they do with this money. I just know they recycle glasses to some degree. So
like eyeglasses?
Yeah, eyeglasses. So she goes and heads off and she runs back and she has like a good luck charm and she's like, "This is for the listener Kyoshin. It's a good luck charm, basically." And she's like, "Oh, and it's just as a reward for helping you just now. Take this." And she passes it. It's her line contact info.
"Here, you throw this away."
Yeah, gives this to Mizuho, basically. And Mizuho makes jokes how she wished she had written it as a QR code, which is kind of funny. And she's like, "Oh, I guess I didn't know Miss Shrimp goes to like shrines and stuff. Just like I figured, all the entrants are pumped for this. And, the way they see things differently than someone like me. So, good luck, Mizuho. I'll do my best to cheer you on." And she's like, "Mate, let's go together to the shrine," basically. And they go walking together, 25 minutes on foot, and makes a little cute moment when she goes up one more stair than he is, or I guess two more stairs, and now they're the same height.
She's very short.
She's very tiny. I do like it. She's like, "Let me see your hair whirl." Because he does have one, like all anime characters should. And, he's at the shrine, he's praying. He's like, "Oh, thank you for everything. Please let Mizuho win the listener Kyoshin." And he's like, focused. He's like, "Oh, I was praying too much. I probably was holding Mizuho up." She's still praying. She's still very focused. So, he dutifully goes back to praying. And she eventually just makes another bit. Like, she doesn't she's incapable of doing like a standard conversation unless there's kind of a bit preface to like preamble into it, which I do relate to. Apparently I'm calling it the Kyoshin when it's the Koshin.
Koshin, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it could be the Kyoshin. That's kind of cool
It's
too.
not though.
Okay. Well, you can't stop it.
Kyoshin sounds like a Dragon Ball technique or a Dragon Ball character.
Maybe it is.
But because Kaioshin is King Kai's Japanese name, so.
So she just says, "Hey, you know, I wish to be a figure skater and be featured on reality shows."
Actually, wasn't Kyoshin? Kyoshin was an ISHO 21 team, the Kyoshin Poseidon.
Isn't Kyoshin the baseball thing?
That's the Koshian, Quinn. That's why it's called the Lister Koshian.
All right, well then I don't know where Kyoshin and Kyoshin got mixed up.
I just told
head.
you the Kyoshin Poseidon from ISHO 21.
It can't all be Ice Shield 21. Nick, did it destroy me this irreparably?
Possibly. I mean, like you could just
No.
be mispronouncing it. Maybe you've been mispronouncing Koshian the entire time that you've seen it whenever it's been referred to in like baseball manga and stuff.
That's crazy. Well, we'll find out, I guess, one day when these...
It's not your first language, Quinn.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Never mind. I keep feeling this as I say Pokemon names out loud with my boyfriend, and he's like, that's not how I pronounce it. I'm like, oh, have I been saying fucking Emolga wrong this entire time? And I'm like, no, wait, no one cares. No one knows how this shit's
No one
spelled.
cares.
Like, they don't voice act these fucking video games, so no one knows what this shit is unless you watch the anime. So, you know, she's talking about how... Or Meme rather starts talking about how, you know, having his first email read and getting to know, like, getting the host actually remember and hear his name. In the past 3 months, they've been like a dream. And I decided that I would become funnier than Eel Potato. So I don't feel really fulfilled right now. I feel super frustrated. And I will get there next time. He says it with a very strong conviction. So good luck. Rivals should be strong after all. And, you know, Mizuho gives like a big smile. The two of them end up taking their, you know, fortunes. Meme notes, oh, I got small luck. What about you? Mizuho looks at hers, smiles, ties it to the thing, and is like, you know, you tie it up even if it's a good fortune. And as Mon Mid starts to read out the members of the listener quotient, we see... Mizuho's fortune was, hey, this expected person, even if they are late, they will come. And we listened to the announcement of the listener Kyoshin contestants. Eel Potato is in there, also Shrimp Sushi. Not Owl in the Woods, though. So this series is going to keep going because we are not putting him in this tournament. He is going to have to wait till next time.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird good news, bad news kind of thing, which is like, you know, bad news for Mime, but good news for us because, like, yeah, we're clearly not rushing to an ending with this.
Yes.
This definitely seems like it was kind of the jumping off point for the series. If it had an early ending.
Yeah. Is Bar... Okay. Bar Batsana is the bartender girl. I couldn't remember what hers was. And
Correct.
I was like, I'll remember it when I see it. And then I looked at everything and I was like, I don't... Chuppet of Love? Am I Chuppet of Love?
No. I'm the hateful eight, definitely. Though.
Yeah, 100%. So, can I be Super Town Mayor?
Sure.
It is, yes, Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi, Chapter 73, Goro
Sorry,
Shishido.
can you take over for a bit? I need to get some more water. Sorry about that.
Absolutely. Goro Shishido versus Hell's Lulu. So they're standing, you know, face to face with one another, and Shishido's like, you know, you still have a chance for me to forgive you. Stop the invasion of Roth territory. And she's like, what? Oh, you're getting the wrong idea. This is what you would call salvation. Everyone's going to be so much happier when they realize they're my slaves. And I'm the princess, and I'm super cute and special. It's going to be great. But just the strong demons. I don't need any weaklings. And Shishido brings up, you know, like lording over others ain't worth jack in the end. But Lulu just kind of notes, like, are you seriously lecturing me right now? Like, You sound like my fatso dad. Gross. And shoots a laser beam, or sends a bunch of bugs at him. I thought she saw a laser beam. That'd have been cool if she saw a laser beam. Oh, excuse me. I also need to take a sip of water real quick. Shishido's like, hey, back when I was young, I used to eat a whole lot of bugs, but I'm not super into that right now. So instead, how about I just use some stockpile burgers? And he shoots out a breath of flame from some Wiki D burgers he stocked and stored up. And Lulu reacts as I did, where she's like, you can stockpile food as well? That's kind of gross. That's super powerful. And Shishido takes this opportunity to get behind her, launches a big fireball attack in her blind spot, and afterwards Lulu is fine, but she knows, oh, you burned my cape. And she is knocked outside as Shishido's like, good, it'll be easier to fight you outside. And she's like, I like attacking and I hate being attacked. And if you hurt a girl, that idol is going to hate you. And Shishido, ally, says, I don't care about gender, age, or whatever. Everyone's equal in my eyes. Only my fave is special. And I'm like, okay, that's a mostly healthy mindset to have. So Lulu continues pouting, basically being like, ew, this is so gross. You're just like my dad. Just die, you cringy weirdo, basically. She calls for her, quote, special slave, the Emperor Shark of the Demon Realm Skies, Devil Dawn. And, or Devil Odin. I'm not sure. The kerning is weird. But regardless.
Devilodon, like a megalodon.
Devilodon. It is maybe one of the coolest things ever. I think that you should get a tattoo of it, Nick.
Nice of you to volunteer me.
Yeah, well, I don't want to get one. That's scary. So if you would like to do it instead. Shishido's but like, wait, it's a shark that can fly. And then he gets really excited because he's like, that's every man's dream. It's so cool. And, the shark is trying to eat him. And he's like, that said, if you're going to try and eat me, you better be ready because you look delicious. And he licks his lips. And when the bite happens, Lulu is just like, oh, the Devil Dawn is my newest slave. Its powerful jaws can crush everything. Wait, the teeth are the only things you ate? And we can see that the Devil Dawn's teeth have been eaten.
So 3 chapters this week where a heroic character at least partially ate a sea-themed minion of a villain.
Yes.
What is going on?
It's, just parallel thinking. Everybody was like, you know what Jump hasn't had recently? Just eating a monster. Just eat the crap out of it. Not since JJK. Everyone's chasing that JJK money where they're like, that series got really big off of a guy eating a monster. So
Did it?
Yeah, didn't Itadori eat fingers all the time when he just chowing down on them?
Well, he did eat fingers, yeah, I guess, but I don't know what that has to do. Okay.
Well, fair enough. Devilodon's lost all of his teeth, Nick, and it's a great tragedy. And, we easily see Shishido's just like, look, I'm not going to eat somebody who has no fighting spirit. And I could tell just from looking at him that this creature is only working for you because you're controlling it with your magic. And Lulu squeezes on to Devilodon and hugs it so tightly it explodes in half, as she calls it, this worthless good for nothing. And she's like, well, I guess I'll just have to make you my slave then, Shishido. I'm pretty bad at fighting and I don't want to do this, so you left me no choice. Don't go breaking on me. And she, boom, immediately is punching him in the face. Shishido's like, holy crap, she's so fast and she's just as strong as Bubsy. And he is sent flying out of the castle into, the forest nearby. And he's like, oh, he was right. Helza Lulu is the only one who inherited her dad's physicality. And she immediately starts tying him up with, vines and stabs him with one of her hair dongles. And she's like, I've stabbed you with my left hair dongle, basically.
Her princess ringlet.
Yeah. So she has stabbed him with it, and now he is in mind-numbing pain. He can do nothing else but become her devoted slave until the day that he dies. This is her power, the rule of Lulu. And she starts kind of going on about all this stuff. Eventually is like, yeah, lick my boot, basically, or my slave now. And Shishido, as expected, bites her shoe, and she's like, wait, how are you holding your own will? And he grabs her hair, and he stabs himself with it, and he's like, if getting stabbed by the right one puts me under your control, then getting stabbed by the left one frees me. And Lulu's like, that's not how it works. You don't get to just decide that's how it works.
That's so funny.
She tries to be like, no, you're still under my control. He bites at her hand, basically. And he's like, you're going to need another 1,000,000 years of practice if you think you control me. I won't just wag my tail for just anyone. And she's like, I don't believe this. The rule of Lulu is absolute. And he's like, rules are made to be broken. So she says, fine. If you're not going to be mine, then just die. Punches him. He goes flying. And we see Shishido coming back, and he's talking about how throwing a huge tantrum because things didn't go your way. You're just like a spoiled brat. And since your dad's not here, I guess I'll have to punish you in his place. This is one of the forbidden holy relics, Adam's apple. And Lulu, watching this, is like, all right, first you refused to become my property, and now you're baring your teeth at me? This is unforgivable. I swore that ever since the day my dad's underwear got washed with mine, that I would never take this form. But now that you've seen me like this, you have to die. And she basically looks very similar to her father at this point.
Yeah. This is a fun battle chapter. There's a lot of good characterization happening in it. I like that what we get from this is that Lulu clearly fancies herself as being like, oh, I'm a princess and I use my power of compulsion to make others fight for me. And it's like, yeah, but her specialty is actually just punching people really, really hard.
Yeah.
So she's just got her image of herself is completely different from her true self. It's a good gimmick. And I really love that moment of Shishido stabbing himself with the other ringling and being like, the other one frees me. And she's like, is that how it works at all?
She's like, you don't get to make up the rules.
That's such fun shit.
Yeah,
so yeah, really good chapter. Liked it.
Yes. All right, Nick.
Okay.
Marriagetoxin.
Yeah, it's chapter 150 of Marriagetoxin, and it's got color pages, Quinn.
Yes, a big 2-page color spread to celebrate 150 chapters, a color illustration. This is chapter 150, A Journey of Two Across Starry Skies in Search of Love and Marriage. I don't know if that's the title or not, or are there even titles in this series, Nick?
There are not chapter titles in Marriagetoxin.
Well, that would be a long chapter title, but pretty good.
Okay.
So, last chapter, which we're not going to talk about in full length here, but basically the monkey user revealed that he had a gorilla brother who was the gorilla user, but thought he was a gorilla, and he had him under control. Basically, they lost to Ushio and, oh my gosh, I'm going to flake on her name. Arashiyama.
Kimie.
But this chapter, eventually it ended with Garo just starting to beat down on some specialists, and the bat user and Toshiro kind of noting oh, Garo's different now. He is letting the bloodlust get to him. And as there's a moment where Garo's marching towards a group of guys, and they all reveal that they're all kind of shitty people who have killed dozens of people each. They're all begging and pleading for their lives, basically, but they're all scumbags, and Garo just takes them all down, and we could start seeing the scar underneath Garo's eye is throbbing and almost getting larger, as Toshiro notes he's gotten devoured from this. So Garo is just noting filth is everywhere. This world is filled with filthy human garbage, and I have to clean them up. And he's looking around. He can't even make out the images of Toshiro and PK at this point. He just lunges and starts kind of attacking around Toshiro, even kind of catches him in the mouth at one point. And, Toshiro is just taunting him at this point. He's like, oh, you're talking like some saint when you're a damned assassin. No wonder you broke like this. And he's thinking the bloodlust has seeped into the cracks of your heart and taken over in it. It's a pain in the neck to deal with this head on, but he thinks back to his assistant slash maybe
His
more.
maid.
Yeah, well, I don't know. And he's like,
Byako.
I attacks back at Garo basically. Like, you damned bastard. He's not gonna let up here. There's something here he wants to go after basically. And there's a moment where PK almost gets attacked, and Toshiro takes that moment to kind of stab Garo in the back of the neck and deals a pretty significant blow. And taunts him by saying that muck swirling in you seems especially grimy, right? Then I'll spill it out of you. Garo, unfortunately, is having a full-on kind of existential crisis because he just thinks about all the girls and how they were all living in peace until he came along and dragged them into hell with them and made their lives so much worse. He's like, I never should have tried to have a wife, but living alone would have been horrible. And if I didn't find a significant other, then Akari will have to. He's like, it's nothing but filth and sludge, and I've got to clean it all up. I've got to spot everything clean and going through all this. And Toshiro's just like, I guess you and I are just destined to fight each other. But Garo just grabs him, just gets him down on the ground. His hand is like up in the air. It's channeled with all of his poison. It's time to scrub everything spotless. And just when it looks like he might kill Toshiro, water sprays in, and he looks over.
With a hamster in it.
And with a hamster in it. You look over, and it's Ushio and Arashiyama and a hamster. Water sliding, water skiing. I don't know. Aquajet. They're doing that basically.
She seems to be slip and sliding, basically.
Yeah, I guess she's just slip and sliding across the ground. And they end the chapter in a 2-page spread of Arashiyama saying, "Would you get a makeover?" About all of his disturbing bloodlines, and Ushio's like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So hey, Garo was gonna go Skull Greymon on everybody, but he's got people to pull him out of it. So that's good.
Yep, I appreciate it. It's good, nothing special, but I did find the entire back and forth fun.
Yeah. Okay. New Sexorcist, chapter 126, Within Nue. Natsuki got really curious about something, got Gakuro to go check it out with her, and Shitatsu's also here because she was sleeping in Gakuro's bed, which she does sometimes. So she's also just there. That was the reason that she came along. Series is weird. So they come into Nue Sanctuary, and they see a massive entity behind her, a massive creature, and Gakuro recognizes it from like something that he has seen before from like a different flashback thing. And so Nue is like, yeah, so this is my first contractor ever from over a millennium ago, Geka Karukaya. And so Natsuki realizes that this is actually the current form of the woman that she saw in the vision that she got when she accepted like Nue's big power boost during the race in the previous chapter. And Nue says like, yeah, she's actually human despite how she looks. And then we get a weird little chibi thing of Geka like starting to like nuzzle or chomp on, or I don't know what she's doing. It's like there's not enough detail to see. She's pressing Nue into the ground. But Gakuro says like, oh, I thought this was actually your true form. Why did you take her shape that one time? And Nue says it's because she is my guardian deity. And so Gakuro's like, oh, tell me about her. Also tell me about Soranaki. And Karukaya starts to like talk, but just kind of goes, yep. So Noah's like, all right, but I'll tell you about the history of the sin that Soranaki and I share. So then Karukaya matches eyes with Gakuro and stares into his eyes, and in his mind, like she changes into her human form from when she was a human kid who had come across Nue in the woods, just hanging out by herself. And Karukaya had been assigned to take care of this being responsible for a curse on the woods, which was that anyone who entered in it would die in a welter of pitch black blood. But then one day, some genius exorcist person appeared who had this idea of how to take care of it, which was to make the god in the mountain don these hair ornaments. Yes, this is the origin of how Nue got her hairstyle.
This is important. This is what I've been kind of waiting for. Similar to when I was about like a decade ago, I was sitting there being like, I know so many things, but how does Yelena get Black Widow's vest? Like, I need to know how she gets that,
I didn't even know that was a detail of that movie.
A small detail, but it is a detail they put into the movie about why Yelena is wearing Black Widow's vest from, I think, Infinity War or something.
Will say, Thunderbolts, fun movie, like that.
Yeah, that's
like Yelena a lot in it. So, but have not seen the Black Widow one, and we kept on seeing all these moments with like the characters that are from that movie and being like, "Hey, we need to watch that movie. Know who the fuck these people are and where they came from." Anyway. So Karakaya was just like the servant of this guy who came up with this plan, and is just like, yeah, we'll just have her go and fix these hair ornaments onto the god in the mountain. And Karakaya just like told Nue all this, and it's like, please wear these. And Nue's like, I mean, you ate the food that I had, and now you're asking for favors. And Karakaya is like, well, don't people get 3 wishes? Wah, wah, wah. And Karakaya is like, yeah, I got one more, be my friend. But she starts to cough up like black blood as the curse is starting to take effect. So yeah, she says like, Nue says, oh, the cursed night is taking effect. Karakaya is like, oh, okay. And she's not really like concerned about it. And Nue's like, you're really odd. Why are you like enjoying yourself? And Karakaya is like, because there's a god right here with me. It's fun because I'm not alone. And then she just kind of like passes out with her head in Nue's lap. And Nue's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I didn't even promise I would wear the hair ornaments and stuff. But then as Karakaya sleeps there with her, she thinks, I've spent centuries since I awakened watching humans from afar. And now I've met one, and I realize that they are a complete mystery to me. I've always been intrigued by humans, and the fact that you were the first I spoke to was fortunate for me. And she takes the hair ornaments away from Karakaya, and we cut ahead to 10 years after the fact. As there's an Exorcist bureau now, which seems very odd, because I know that a lot of time passed, but the fact that they had an Exorcist bureau and it was called that 1,000 years ago seems very weird.
Yeah, they have the same ranks too. There's still a first squad with a vice captain and all this sort of stuff. Yeah.
So Gekka is like, yeah, she's 17 years old now and stuff, and she's got this high rank and everything, and Nue protects the whole territory from the other Kyo and all this stuff. And they're consulting with her over what to do. Should Gasha Dark Crystal come into their territory? And so they're like, what do you say, Nue? And Nue says, Gasha, do or do not, there is no try. Whenever he fights, he isn't reckless. If we pare down his forces, he'll retreat, and then we'll be able to restrain him again. And they're like, all right, do you think you can do that? Yeah, sure, we can do that. But then they come across Soranaki, who's just hanging out.
He's there, doing
just
as
chilling.
you do. Yeah.
So this isn't even the story of how they met Soranaki. He's just there. So he's just hanging out there, and he's like, hey, Nue, come eat something with me, because I guess he's just still like into her at this point. So we also don't see like why he's infatuated with her. We just know that he also was back then too. Okay. But apparently he also gets along with Gekka because they're kind of like, like rubbing elbows, literally. So he's like, hey, there's a festival. Come on, let's go and enjoy it and stuff. And Nue's like, yeah, but I'm not going to go. I'm going to enjoy it, but not with you and stuff. And so we get a little thing that was like, yes. So you see, Soranaki appeared months ago, lured by an exorcism festival. And I fitted Soranaki with curse nidus negating hair ornaments so that he can also hang out here. So hang on. So So Soranaki was always fascinated by human festivities, even though Nue had no human interactions before her. Oh my god.
You're putting way too much thought into this. This is nonsense for children to be
Look,
entertained with for a week, I guess.
look, Gakuro's sword fighting and booby harem series needs to have intricate backstory details explained. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. So
Mm.
there. Anyway, so Soranaki has taken up residence here and has not made any friends. I don't know why. He's so normal. He literally goes over and picks up a random child, and then they're like, "Let him go." And like, all right, fine. And Gekka sees the whole thing happen, and is like, "Oh, that's no fun. That's what you're thinking, right? You're thinking like, oh." And then she says, "Hey, are your shoulder rides already closed?" And instead, she rides on his shoulders and like holds on to his horns and stuff. And so Gekka's like, yeah, I like festivals because everyone's always really cheerful and having fun, and that makes me happy. And Soranagi's like, oh, well, really? And she says, well, as long as I'm not alone, anything's fine. Even if I'm still lonely deep down, this gives me the strength to pretend I don't notice. Interesting. But Soranaki's, because she starts to be like, oh, sorry, that was a weird thing to say. And Soranaki's like, no, I actually know how you feel. So, as in, like, even though he is alone, technically, even if, at least if he's around people, he feels like he's not so lonely, basically. So then she's like, why did you come here? Are you like just being sympathetic towards me? And she says, no, it wasn't sympathy. I thought you called me. I thought you were lonely by yourself. And Soranaki says, what made you think that? And Gekka says, because everybody who likes festivals is lonely on the inside, which I think is one of the grossest oversimplifications I've ever heard. Everyone who likes festivals is lonely on the inside?
Yeah, Nick.
Can't be everyone.
It's correlation and causation. There's lonely people everywhere. There is funnel cake. Thus, lonely people go to festivals, and anyone who goes to festivals is lonely.
Everyone. But anyway, after they have that moment, they're like, oh, you want to have some fun, basically. And we do get actually a very enjoyable little image of the two of them running around causing havoc, and she's still riding on his shoulders, but she's like kicking her leg out. It's a very neat little pose that they do.
Yes.
And it's like, all right, I don't know about the particularities of the message here, but the imagery of it, of like, hey, like Nue's first festival and Soranaki's had this connection was really nice. So this actually was not that bad. It just had some weird details to it as a flashback chapter.
Yeah, I kind of sped through it after a little bit. I didn't find this to be particularly engaging at the start, and I just feel like I've been burned by paying attention to Deus Exorcist before in the past. Like, it's just one of these things, like, is any of this ever going to get mentioned again after this arc? Like, or is this just going to be like, is this going to be like, I don't remember her name, Spider Girl or whatever. Like, is it going to be like that where we're just going to never see her again?
Which one is Spider Girl?
She was, oh gosh, the last Hyo's, like, close, not daughter, but, like, kind of treated her like a daughter.
She was around during the festival, so,
Fair enough. I guess that's what we're here for.
She lost a foot race to Suo, so.
Huzzah.
Yeah.
So
her backstory was very important in that chapter, Quinn.
Yeah.
Look, I'm just saying, in the last couple of weeks, we have gotten three-legged stool. So as far as flashback chapters go,
sure,
it's accomplished a lot.
Grading on the scale, on the curve, it is good enough, I suppose. So
let's close things out with Akane-banashi, story 187, Makeup for the Waiting. And we get color page of Akane hanging out with Kaisei in a very very different looks for the two of them. So it's after Kaisei's performance, and the crowd is reacting like, oh man, that was remarkable. He's completely changed from when he was doing his what was it going to be? His ascension promotion exam that he
Yeah,
failed.
it's Shinuichi exam.
Yeah, and Gakumon comments, it reminds me of how Master Isho used to be. At least I think that's Gakumon. That's there's not too
I
many
think so,
bearded,
yeah.
glasses wearing men in this series. So, but Akane is also reacting like he just portrayed the opposite of the craftsman style that I just had to master. Speaking through one's own mind, the art of the personal. And it's similar to how Maikeru in his promotion test blew away the crowd from his life experience, and also similar to how Dad played Mom during his promotion exam, which of course he was expelled after. And she remembers that she has been advised that that's the style of Rakugo that she was told was too early for her to try, even though she should pursue it. So it's a big thing for her. Kaisei approaches Akane after he has gotten back in his casual clothes and says, "Oh, thanks for waiting." Akane says, "Oh yeah, that was really amazing." And he says, "Yeah, well, don't worry about it." And so they have to go and talk about the Isho Kai preparation. And so he says, "Well, let's go, shall we? Let's just go for a walk." And so they head to an area where there's a nice breeze. And Akane says, why are we going for a walk? And Kaisei just says, don't you find it easier to just kind of gather your thoughts while you stroll? And Akane is like, all right. And she says that she's done a bit of her research and says that, yeah, sometimes, like in past Ishokais, they've limited themselves to the same genre. Sometimes they would tell like a really long story in a relaxed fashion. And so
In a
she
relay
says,
fashion.
a relay fashion.
Yeah.
My bad.
No, you're good.
But she says, so I guess that what you're kind of expected to do is something like experimental. So I'd like to do that and also have it be something that like feels like us. And Kaisei is kind of like staring at her. She says this, and she's like, well, what? And he says, you kind of just seem more like optimistic than I expected. And Akane kind of very seriously says, like, well, it's a job, and I got to put in the effort in order to make up for the waiting. At that moment, they come across the Cup Ramen Museum. And Kaisei's like, oh, the Cup Ramen Museum. And Akane's like, stop changing the subject. We're going to talk about shit. But Kaisei says, well, we kind of like need mutual understanding, don't we? In order to understand like what would be reflective of us. And so Akane is like, yeah, I guess. Like, so you eat cup ramen? And he's like, well, yeah, I used to be poor. And so it's kind of hard to unlearn habits like that. And he's like, I don't buy produce at the supermarket until it goes on sale. And Akane gets this like moment of like, oh,
he's just like me.
He just like me. And she's like, yeah, we didn't grow up with a lot of money either, which makes sense because like until Shinta got his current job, like he was a poor Rakugoka like them. Like,
yeah. I also love
he never made big.
He like hears her say, he's like, yeah, that makes sense. She's like, what the fuck?
What the fuck is wrong with you?
I just seemed like I didn't have money.
Honestly, everything about Akane screams that she did not grow up in privilege. So,
yeah.
But as they're walking along, Akane thinks to herself, like, he's always felt friendly, but like distantly cold. Like he deliberately keeps you at arm's length. And then Kaisei says, like, I've actually been taking lessons since I was in elementary school, even though I only officially joined after high school graduation. So I kind of feel like I'm misrepresenting my background. And Akane is like, oh, that's the same for me. Like I started training at the end of 5th grade. And Kaisei's like, yeah, I kind of had the feeling that was the case. You felt the same as me. And so they start like talking about stuff that they relate to each other on in terms of their training. So it kind of is like, did you also like pick up on your teacher's way of talking and then your classmates? And he's like, yeah, they would tease me for that. And they'd be like, yeah, you talk like an old man. Yeah, I got that all the time. And they start like laughing and smiling with each other because they're able to connect on that level that they've never had before. And they end up like kind of like, you know, leaning over the guardrail at a pier. And Kaisei says like, yeah, I've never really met people who are like me before. And Akane says, so are we the same? Are you also chasing after Shigema's art? And Kaisei says, you know, someone actually asked me the same question recently. And it's the other way around. I can't forgive him. What can I say? I'm a shamelessly dedicated apprentice. I can't forgive Shigema's art with how it still binds master spirit, or the root of all evil, Shigema Arakawa. I can't forgive any of it.
Say what? The root of all evil? He's a sad old man. Is that not right?
And Akane looks at him and is like, what do you mean root of all evil? And Kaisei looks at her and he doesn't even seem like surprised or angry. And he says, that doesn't look like the face of someone who's asking a real question. And he says, I understood you when you bared your fangs toward my master, because I felt that emotion too. And Akane is like, well, if you want me to apologize for it, and Kaisei says, I don't mean it that way. I'm just a bit sad about it. We were bound by a deep gratitude from a young age and built up to inherit the future. Because of the history of Arakawa that starts with Shigema's art, we are on opposite ends of the divide. We are the same, and yet fundamentally different. I suppose there's no avoiding a confrontation. And he says this, like, almost sadly. Like, he's, like, resigned to it. Like, this is something that he's kind of just, like, known since before they started talking. But Akane gets an idea from this and says, well, then let's make that into our event. Why don't we perform the same story, colored our own way, the same but different? And Kaisa says, yeah, I like it. It sounds like kind of a fight. And you know what? Let's spice it up. The story should be God of Death. An event where each performer does God of Death, and we'll call it the God of Death Dual Duet.
These so extra fucking nerds.
You guys are dorks. And yeah, Kaisei says, if you outdo me, then I will tell you what I mean by root of all evil. And Akane's like, all right, you're on. So of course we can't have Akane do a Rakugo performance without, like, if you do good enough, then you get a reward kind of thing attached to it. That's just kind of how her performances go. And fortunately, because I was just thinking to myself, like, she doesn't know how to perform God of Death yet, she gets a buzz on her phone at just that moment. We see it in her backpack as it's a message from Master Shomei that says, I'll give you a date and time for your God of Death training. So there we go. We're going to get to see Akane's version of God of Death and also someone else's.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
I'm very excited. This chapter rules. This chapter rips. I love seeing Kaisei and Akane realize they're so similar and find this sort of spontaneous, real friendship and kinship with one another to be like, oh, you also went through this at, grade school age. You were technically being educated. You also grew up poor. You also, like, these fun little connecting points to that just midway through the chapter have Kaisei be like, oh no, I'm not trying to save Shigema's art. I'm trying to basically, like, destroy everything that Shigema was all about, basically. And we are enemies at this point. Like, there's something so well about how they execute that quick turn from, like, oh, I think these two might really be able to find, like, real common ground to, like, oh, wait, no, there's a new wrinkle to the story that we're just learning now, and it's very clear that it is informing a lot about why Kaisei is the way he is. And it's so intriguing.
I don't know if there are any Akane Kaisei shippers out there, but if there are, this was their favorite chapter. Like the amount of tension that suddenly is built up between these two after that connection is really something.
Yeah.
I love all the extra details that we get where we get Kaisei seems so much more human by the midpoint of this chapter, and then so much more imposing directly after that when he switches to like Shigama is the root of all evil. Like he believes that, and it's not like an exaggeration. It feels like to him, he's like, no, this is one of the reasons I'm doing everything that I am. Yeah, great chapter.
Yeah, really, really enjoyed it. Had a great time, and it's time for us to, I think, do our favorites and MVPs, Nick.
Yeah, very simple for me. Akane-banashi and Gokuraku. For all the reasons I just said, Akane-banashi was fantastic. All the tension that we got, the nice details that we got. And Gokuraku, look, he blew the fuck out of that tentacle. Just destroyed it. I was not expecting him to get a buster arm. That was crazy.
I will echo Akane-banashi with you. Chapter of the week, all the reasons you mentioned, extremely good. Gokuraku, I want to give a special mention to for character of the week. And I think there was even someone else recently, and like Kana had like a really good chapter as well. But
true.
I'm going to be honest, I don't mind doubling up. It's Kaisei. I'm completely 1,000% more invested in that character after this chapter than I was like before. It's incredible how good this chapter was for him. The audience,
in addition to the characters you said, I also want to say Vimola and Dandadan for being a very great contributor to the goings on of that one.
Yeah. Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi won chapter of the week, it looks like, and then Gokuraku won character of the week. It looks like there was a lot of votes all over the place for favorite chapter this week, which makes sense. There were a lot of really, really good chapters this week.
Yeah, it's a fun week. We will be back for more, I guess, at some point next week. But next Wednesday is Christmas Eve, so we're probably going to need to change things up a little bit in our plans. So stay tuned on that, guys. We will be here on twitch.tv/RoloT for the recording, and the episode will be up on weeklymangarecap.podbean.com in audio form, iTunes, Spotify, if you get your podcast through those sources, and the YouTube.com/Weekly Manga Recap will have the video upload with an opening sequence by Milo Jack Stillitz and Wensleydale Cheddar. And we also occasionally have title cards done by Steve Man, whose artwork you can find by just searching for Steve Man Art. It is all across the web. And if you want even more Weekly Manga Recap content, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Weekly Manga Recap for extra bonus monthly episodes, and also if you want to help support the show financially, and if you want to suggest a manga for us to read and cover in the future as a recommendation, check out the Google Doc, which will be linked wherever the Discord is. Check out the Discord. It's linked on every place that the podcast gets posted to. Thank you to Ninja X3i for helping us to keep track of all the recommendations, all the questions that we get asked for Q&A episodes, and all the statistics associated with the show.
Yes. All right. That is going to do it for the Manga Recap this week. We hope next week there'll be no laryngitis symptoms remaining. Nick will be at his full, most powerful vocal ability, which means everyone's in danger of falling in love with that voice again.
I mean, you're allowed to do it now. I feel like I sound pretty damn good. It's just that I occasionally break off into horrible coughing fits. So,
and look, if somebody, maybe like a nurse from like the 1940s, had like flash forward in time somehow, she might actually find that trait more attractive. I assume they were attracted to coughs back then for some reason.
What?
I don't know.
To the Spanish flu?
Yeah, like if there was so much of it, wouldn't eventually you're like, it's kind of exciting now that, it's a little sexy a little bit.
There had to be at least one, yes, yeah. I suppose.
Exactly, and we're going to pull that one forward, and she's going to be all over it, Nick.
I'm married, but okay.
Yeah. All right, goodbye, everybody.